Hello everybody, and thank you for joining us for the last webinar of the day on the CREST Threat Intelligence Professionals conference today. But I'm sure it is one that you have been waiting for. So just before I pass over to Bethany Keele, who's the Senior Security Consultant, Threat Intelligence Group, VerSprite, and she'll be talking today about the OSINT and the dark web, using OSINT to gather threat intelligence. So before I pass over to her to talk to you about her presentation, just wanted to say, if you have any questions for Bethany, please feel free to pop those into the question pane. If you don't want to forget them, type them in whilst the presentation's going on. We will be keeping an eye on them, so if we think they've been answered, we'll always private message you and just check, so don't worry about that. And we can get those questions asked, because I'm sure you will probably have a few that you wish to put to Bethany at the end. So I will stop talking and I will hand over to Bethany, and thank you so much, Bethany, for coming along today. Over to you.
Oh, thank you for this opportunity. I'm very excited. So hi, everyone. Welcome to OSINT and the dark web, using OSINT to gather threat intelligence. If you're not sure what OSINT is, it's open source intelligence, so you can just gather it from anywhere. So this will be presented by me, Bethany Keele, a senior security threat consultant for VerSprite cybersecurity. So who am I? Well, I had my debut at a nuclear laboratory, which was an incredible internship that had exposed me to incident response, penetration testing, threat intelligence, and malware analysis. I've hippity-hoppitied around since then, gaining experience and knowledge through the places I've gone to, always growing my skill set. And now that I found a sort of home at my current place at VerSprite, I'm pursuing my Master's of Cybersecurity. That's enough about me. Let's get into the meat of this presentation. Intelligence-driven defense. What is it? Well, it's not a new concept. However, it is a rarely applied concept. You will find very little places that actually use threat intelligence to drive their SOC operations. These models I like to call our subscription security or set and forget. They have a basic outline of detection rules that they apply to across all their clients. That's it. Your organization's just another number to them. However, in intelligence-driven defense, analysts like myself apply threat modeling to your organization and gather threat intelligence about your platforms, your environments, and your attack surface. So this is a unique and valuable way to approach defensive security. So in this kind of model, you're not just a number, you're a unique environment with your own needs and your own threats. This is a way to look at your environment and tailor it specifically to what impacts you. So you need to know what intelligence-driven defense is before we move on, because it's how I operate with my clients and what we will be simulating today. Before we get started, you're going to need a Tor environment that is isolated and private. You're also going to need a VPN to use on it that I highly recommend using, just because you want to secure yourself, of course. You're also going to need a list of dark sites. For this, I didn't provide a list of dark sites for this presentation because the ethics is kind of questionable on that, and I'm going to play on the safe side of things. But if you're interested in this, you certainly can gather your own list of websites pretty easily. So the first step is understanding your environment. The biggest question you should be asking yourself here is, what am I protecting? What is valuable to my company or to my client? If you don't have an inventory list or are aware of what's in your environment, then you can't defend it. It's as simple as that. In fact, my favorite kind of security breaches are the ones that happen because of shadow IT in your organization, which is using applications that your IT department doesn't know about or doesn't inventory. So again, if you don't know about these applications, you can't protect or defend them. So you're gonna take inventory of your environment and look for vulnerable services that may be running. If you're not sure if you're running any of those services, Shodan.io is one tool that I use and is used by white hat, black hat, and gray hat hackers all alike. It's an open source knowledge tool that acts kind of like Google for hackers. I guess, if you will. That term has been thrown around quite a bit. So I'll show you quickly how to use Shodan, just in case you haven't seen it before. But I won't be going in depth in it because this is a threat intel presentation, not a Shodan one. So I'm just gonna pop it open and do a search for whatever interests you. In this case, because our scenario is gonna be RDP related, I'm gonna go to shodan.io, just like that, just in the search bar. It'll pop up with this cool little page here. And then inside of the search bar, you're gonna look for whatever you want. So in this case, we're gonna look for RDP. Oh no, I guess shodan.io is down right now. Well, that makes this very awkward. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I was gonna show you the cool results that you can get from shodan.io, but because they're down right now, I can't show you. That's very unfortunate. If you have time, I recommend checking it out yourself. And just a good way to search Shodan is by taking your organization name or your client's name, popping it in there alongside whatever vulnerable service you have. So if you have Google as a client, I guess you could just do Google, and if you're concerned about them running RDP, you can put RDP in there. So Google RDP, and it'll show those results for that. So again, I'm sorry, Shodan's down. I can't control that, unfortunately. But we're just gonna smooth right on ahead. All right, on to the second step. So this is concerning your assets. Like I said before, you're gonna need to compile a list of your assets and what you're concerned about in your environment. This plays off of the first step and my mention of taking inventory. So compile a list of what concerns you in your environment or your client's environment. And these things could be anything from open ports to a weak password policy, shared accounts, or my favorite, everyone is running local admin, which I kid you not is so common. You would hope that it wasn't common, but it is. And I'm sure some of you are laughing right now because you've also experienced this in your career. So take inventory of those things. You're going to need it for the next step and for the rest of this presentation. All right, so you got your list, and it's time to actually get down and dirty with the dark web. For this, I will be showing you 3 methods I use to gather intelligence on the dark web. The first I'll show you is Google dorking and very basic searching around that. The second is a dark search engine called darksearch.io. And the third is manual analysis of dark websites. For this presentation, I'll be giving a scenario so that we can keep it kind of consistent going on here, and you can see what all of this is about. So the scenario here is we have a financial company who is running Windows 7 and Windows 10, which, yes, I've seen several companies using Windows 7, and I'm sure you've also experienced this in your own career. So we have a financial company using Windows 7 and Windows 10, and then RDP is open to the public, which again does happen, super common, unfortunately, and it's one of those things that you just gotta look for. So let's get started on manual analysis. So I won't be actually walking you through dark sites today. Like I said, there's a whole ethical discussion on that I won't get into. Instead, I took some neat screenshots of my findings for you, and I redacted some of the information. So I know it's not. Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. Debbie has just informed me that Shodan is back up. So let's try that again. Nice call out, guys. Nice check. All right, so Shodan is up and running. So up here, I just kept it simple to RDP because I'm not going to give away any client names. I'm not going to guess on who your client is, or I'm not going to spill information about other companies. Not cool. So instead, I'm just going to let Shodan do its thing and show you what's available on the web. So I searched for RDP and places that are running RDP. You'll see that there's a total of 1,940 results here in several different countries. They have a neat little graph here that you can click on and go, oh, Russia has 100 of them. United States has 429. You'll also see what services all of these are running, what organizations they're doing, the operating systems and products that are being used. So if you wanted to just drill it down to RDP in this case, I'm just going to click on top services, RDP, and it'll show you these results. So in this case, we have an entity who's running RDP, shows the login page for this. If you wanted more information on this, you could click on that and it'll show you what services are running. So you'll see port 3389 is open for RDP. You'll unfortunately see some usernames and more information about what's being run, what kind of algorithms they're using. So this is Shodan. It's really cool. I like Shodan. I especially like it for clients who are concerned about different services that may be running. So I'll go in here and I'll do a search for any services and look for their names on here and then report on whatever I can find. So that's Shodan. Very simple. Shodan gets more complex in searching. I just showed you a very simple one of it because, like I said, threat intelligence, not Shodan presentation. All right, back to manual analysis. This is where your list is going to come in. So where's your list? I took some screenshots for you, like I said, because I'm not going to get into the ethical discussion on giving you a list of dark websites and then setting you off free into the world. So like I said, this is where your list of dark sites comes in. Now, your list may start very small. I know mine did. It'll grow in number as you do more research and you expose yourself more to this weird, wonderful, dark world. So in manual analysis, you're actually going to go to those websites from your safe environment, of course, and look for intel that is related to your organization or client. So in this case, I gave the scenario that this is a financial company who is using RDP. The first screenshot I show you here is of a threat actor giving away free RDP credentials. This, unfortunately, you're going to see a lot of on the dark web is credentials being passed around for free or being sold. You know, it's a good marketplace for that kind of stuff. The second screenshot shows an actor actually selling RDP credentials for local admins for a financial company in Germany. The reason why I chose this one was because it was a financial company that was using RDP access with local admin. Like I had spoken about earlier, is there are those corporations that are running local admin accounts, and I mean everyone should be, whatever, that are running RDP with local admin accounts open to the public. So in this case, this guy is selling RDP credentials. So I wanted to show you that your client, your organization, anyone could be this person right here. The third one here relates to some malware that an actor is selling. He tells you what it does, how to use it, where to get it, and what the requirements are for it. You'll notice that this is an RDP cracker, which, by the way, there are several tools out there for cracking RDP. And I wanted to show you this because it's an RDP cracker, which relates back to our scenario of a financial company running RDP. All right. The second method we're going to be looking at is Google dorking. So I showed you some screenshots here, which is very simple Google dorking syntaxes. But with Google dorking, Google switches become your best friend. And I just put up a few here that have been helpful in my journey of OSINT threat intelligence gathering. In this case, site limits results to a specific website. So if you have that dark website that you want to do a Google dork for, you can do site, that website, and then your keywords. In title finds pages with a certain word in the title, and in text is similar to that in that it finds pages containing a certain word in the content. So here I have provided you some screenshots of what Google dorking looks like and what results can pop up from it. I redacted some of the information, again, on the whole ethical thing. So you'll see here that brute force RDPs are being sold, more selling here. RDP server has been cracked RDP. I mean, just some really interesting results altogether just from Google dorking. Google has gotten more restrictive in their searches, I'll put it like that. So I recommend also using several other browsers or search engines. So you could be using Yahoo is a good search engine. Bing is a good search engine. DuckDuckGo is a good one. So don't just limit it to Google. I know it's called Google dorking, but you can apply this technique to other search engines. So here is an example of a piece of malware that is being sold that I found through Google dorking alone. I put site, the website, and then RDP, and then here we come up. We have a RDP and SSH cracker being sold. The third method was the dark search engine. Now to get here, you just go darksearch.io. This search engine, it's great for beginning your journey, but the results are very high level. Again, it's really good when you're starting out all of this, but as you progress, you're gonna wanna get more away from that and more toward building your own tools. So at my company, a tool that was built, they called lovingly Breach Seeker, which kind of does the same thing as Dark Search IO, is that it spiders its way across the dark web and takes information from it about clients. So we'll plug in client name and then we'll search the dark web for that client and report on any information that gets reported back to us. So Dark Search IO, very high level. You're not going to find a lot of results from it, unfortunately, but that's where, you know, building onto your own skill set comes in. So it's just like Google, you're just going to pop in there, put in your keywords, and then right there is your results. All right, so we're on to what we do with this information. So I showed you 3 different ways you can gather OSINT from the dark web. I've showed you that you can do manual analysis of dark websites, which again, your list might be small to start with, but as you go on and you do more research, your list will grow, which means your information sources will grow and your intelligence will get better. The second one I showed you was Google dorking, and I mentioned to you not to strictly use Google alone, because like I said, their searching has changed and you know you might get better results from other search engines like Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo. And the third one I showed you was darksearch.io, which is kind of like a Google for the dark web. But it's very high level, and as you go forward in your journey, you're gonna probably want to explore other routes of things. So, of those methods and what information you found, you're gonna be asking yourself, well, what now? What do I do with this information? Well, you're gonna have to ask yourself some more questions, like what did you find? Or how does it apply to you? Which, if you're a financial company running RDP open to the web and you find results like these, you can build really cool rules for EDR rules. Now, a lot of them do run on Yara, so you can build these rules to plug into your EDR to then detect on matches that may pop up in your environment. So it's kind of like taking malware hashes, plugging it in, and then seeing what happens in your environment, see if there are any matches. So that's one way that you can apply those intelligence. The second one is using patching. So you may come across some vulnerabilities on the dark web that are being exploited in the wild that you didn't think that were before, or yeah, so in that case, before you might have been putting off patching, but now that you're aware that these things are actually being exploited in the web and you thought that they weren't before or weren't that big of a risk, now you realize that they are and you're actually patching against them. The third one is security training. So threat actors like to exploit the nature of humans' implicit trust in one another. You know, deep down we're all good people and we like to believe what other people say and go along with what people say. So if someone calls you on the phone and they say, I'm calling you about your extended warranty, you know, some of us are going to be like, this is a scam, but other people are going to go with it. They're going to be like, oh, okay, tell me more about my extended warranty. Again, that's exploiting human nature's implicit trust in one another. So for that, you would want to do security training, which is bringing up people in your organization and training them against different methods of attack, which are social engineering attacks, phishing training, and just helping them be more aware of the environment around them and what's happening. So for example, there was a recent form of attack I came across on Craigslist where someone would reach out to you and would be like, hey, I saw you were interested in this. In order to verify that you're human and not a scammer, I need you to respond with the Google code that I sent to your phone. So you get the code on your phone, right, from a Google Authenticator device, and it says, this comes from Google, your authentication code is blah, 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 and they want you to send back that code to them. And you wouldn't really think twice about it, right, because you haven't seen this before. And you're like, yeah, okay, this seems legit, all right, cool. So you take that code and you send it back to them. Well, unknowingly, you just gave them the ability to use your phone number for signing up for services, for getting into your accounts. It's a great wild world out there. So that is one form of attack that you can train against, is making people aware that that form of attack exists out there and that people are using that method. So you could train your users in saying, hey, by the way, there's a Google authentication attack out there where people are going to send a code to your phone. Don't respond with it, ignore it, delete that number, block that number, that kind of stuff. So that's how you're going to use that threat intelligence. Closing thoughts. Here we are at the end. Welcome, my lovelies. So we talked about intelligence-driven defense. Like I mentioned before, a lot of SOCs operate in a subscription security, as I like to call it. They don't really consider your attack surfaces, but in intelligence-driven defense, we are focused on the attack surfaces and what makes your organization unique, and gathering intelligence to protect your organizations against threats out there. The second point is that you need to play on the dark playground safely. I went over earlier to discuss with you about the prerequisites to this, which is the Tor environment and using a VPN as two methods. Make it isolated too. A good way is to use a VM. The third is know why you're looking at things. You can't just go playing around on it, just thinking you're going to stumble across something. You should go in there with an intention. And 4, you should be applying what you find, which is what I showed you before. You can build rules for it. You can do security training for it. And that's what I got for you. Question?
Thank you so much, Bethany, for that presentation. Now, as I say, you have got Bethany here. If you've got any questions from her presentation, please feel free to pop those into the question pane and we can get them answered for you before we run out of time for the day, which is quite amazing. So yeah, excellent. It was a good thing we got it back up and running, which is good. So that kind of worked. But yeah, brilliant presentation, really, really interesting. So if I can put a question across to you, Bethany, does Dark Search IO also scrape Telegram and ICQ channels?
I have not seen that being the case. Like I mentioned, Dark Search IO is very high level in what it can scrape.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. So we haven't had any more questions come in. I'm giving it a bit of time just to see if anybody has anything that they want to ask you. So, because as I say, you have got Bethany here. Once she's gone, she's gone. Though I am sure that if you need any answering, then we can obviously get in touch with her and see if she'll answer those for you. So we've just had another one come in. What kind of a tool do you use for storing intelligence, i.e. Confluence?
I love it. Okay, so the tool that I use at my organization is called MISP. It is very unique and kind of complicated to describe in under 1 minute, but you can store your threat intelligence there and connect your Galaxy, which is your storage environment, to other storage environments, and then play off of each other's intelligence. It's kind of like a matching game on being able to attribute things to different threat actors. So if I were to put in information in there about some new RDP tools that I had found, and it matched on someone else's Galaxy, I could then look at their intelligence. So that's one of the tools that I use for storage for threat intelligence. And that's MISP.
Excellent, thank you very much. So another question in here is, do you have any tips for upcoming graduates looking to get into this field?
Yes. Okay. So this is something that I wish I had been told when I was back in my undergrad studies, is that the biggest way for you to learn is to actually do things. So in school, they're going to have you reading a bunch of books. They're not going to have you do a whole lot of stuff. They're not going to really teach you good tools to use or how to do certain things in actual environments. That's not to say that the degree is very helpful. I have a degree myself. Like I said, I'm exploring a master's degree and working on that. But on top of the degree, you need to be doing stuff outside of that. You need to be exploring your own tools and working on your own methods. Because if you go to an organization and you say, I want to work for you, they're going to be like, okay, what have you done that's outside of your degree? Like, we know you got a piece of paper, but what can you show us about your skill sets? So outside of that, you also need to be working on your actual skills, which can be setting up your own home lab or just getting out there and playing with stuff.
Excellent, thank you very much. And it is very true, isn't it? It's about what you can do around your studying, really,
Right.
to help you and push you forward and go through that career path. So, you know, I mean, what sort of advice would you give, really, is somebody following the career path that you have chosen on some of the reading that you've done? Is there anything out there that you would say at the moment for people to look at?
Yeah, so when I started mine, I think all people who get started in cybersecurity are attracted to pen testing just because it's like the cool thing to do is breaking into people's stuff. But as I explored that, I came across threat intelligence, which I was actually more intrigued by, and realized it was fun for me. So when you're out there exploring the world of cybersecurity, because there's so many things to do, you don't have to choose one thing right off the bat. Just open your mind to the different worlds out there. For me personally, and how I went across my career was I started in a SOC and went to security engineering. Now I'm in threat intelligence, and I just played with different tools. Like I was playing with MISP, which one of my mentors had showed me about, and getting on GitHub is very important. One of my mentors had taught me was getting on GitHub and actually playing with code and exploring that code and exploring the different open source tools is a really good way to expose yourself to different security environments. So my biggest piece of advice is getting on GitHub.
That's great, thank you very much for that. And unfortunately, we have run out of time. So apologies to everyone, because we have come to the end of our presentation with Bethany, and we've also come to the end of our day of webinars, which is such a shame. But I am sure you will see Bethany back doing some more webinars, and we will see other people come back to do some webinars as well. So please keep your eyes out for that. As I say, you will see the recordings come up on the CREST YouTube channel when we have finished today, and in a few days hopefully you will see those start to come through. So keep your eyes out for that, and you can obviously point anybody that was unable to make it today to those recordings. So thank you very much, and a big thank you to Bethany for her presentation today. I'll just let you say a last few words.
I just appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for listening to me.
It was great, and thank you so much for volunteering and coming on board. So it's really great. So thank you to everybody that's attended the presentation now, and to everyone that's attended the presentations today. Thank you very much, and I hope everyone has a good day. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.